Assalamu alaikum. So this is my second time to Saudi, and I hope my Arabic is getting better every time. Um, so this time, I actually learned an amazing fact that 70% of the Saudi population are under 30 years old. And you are really the future nation that's building the future. So last time when I came, last October, Epic Semi, we launched basically our cloud data center portfolio of product, an SSD line of product, liquid cooling, and also a RISC-V based AI plus CPU super chip. So in the last few months, we've been hard at work to work with our customers to plan and deploy AI infrastructure. So today, I just want to share with you some of the things that we learned that will be helpful to you too. Okay, so as Naveed said, Saudi is very fortunate to have a vision, to have this ambition to transform the economy from an oil-based economy to a global AI powerhouse. But in Epic Semi, Naveed sets a vision and we execute. So in Saudi, with ambition is not enough. It's all about execution. So has the sovereign cloud infrastructure been built? Have you deployed the AI clusters? Have you secured the adoption and demand? So, those will decide, whether the dream can come true or not. So to build the AI stack, so we want to take a look at what this stack looks like. So this is a picture from, Jensen Huang, the godfather of AI. So he talked about the 5 layers of cake of AI stack. So at the bottom, energy is the foundation. And then, companies like NVIDIA and Broadcom, AMD, Supermicro, HP, Lenovo, and also Epic Semi, we play at the chips and infrastructure layer. And on top of that, you still have to build the data centers and you have to install the software, cloud orchestration layer, so that you can run models on the top. But the most important thing, the biggest market is the application market. So this is where AI is actually going to transform all industries. AI for science, for healthcare, and for oil and gas, mining, and etc. So to build this stack, I'm offering a 5-step practical guide. So the first step, you need to understand, what workload, what applications you're going to run on your infrastructure. So typically, it's divided into a few. So AI training, this is like us going to school and get educated to learn about the world and learn different skills. It's very intensive compute. And then inference is like after you get educated, you go to work and you produce some meaningful outcome. And this is actually going to be the majority of the workload because, we don't just go to school. We have to be useful for the society. And then there are a couple, variations, fine-tuning, because now, not everyone needs to train the frontier foundational models. So once you have the foundational model, you just need to fine tune to your use case. And then reasoning is something that got popular in the last 12 months or so. So this is a more intensive format of inference where it's not just run the query through, run your prompt through, but you also need to do tool use, you need to do a search and do data analytics to actually solve more complex problems. And as such, it is also more compute intensive than a simple inference. So once we understand the workload, we can decide, what kind of infrastructure is suitable for the workload we want to run, the applications we want to run. And the first choice is normally, do I actually lease or do I actually build my own? So cloud AI is actually a great choice. And Amazon Web Services and Google Cloud and all these cloud providers, they have built availability zones in the GCC region and some of them in Saudi itself. So this is a great tool, infrastructure to get started. But when you go beyond, initial experimentation and, building your prototype and you want to scale your business, this could potentially get expensive at scale. And that's when you want to think about potentially building your GPU cloud, Neo cloud, or building your own infrastructure. And then, once you think about getting your own infrastructure, then you want to think about which compute ecosystem do I want to align to. So this is important because the platform and ecosystems, they decide your developer productivity, the system-wide deployability, time to value, and risk. And from the market share evolution here, you can see who is the winner. And if you are first time building your AI infrastructure, you should stick with something that's proven. That's the golden standard. So then you want to match basically the GPUs to your use cases, because even though you decide to go with NVIDIA, you don't need to, break a leg and try to get the latest and greatest GB300 and wait for Vera Rubin and etc. And ultimately, it really just depends on your workload. And if you are running, enterprise inference fleet, maybe even an L40S is enough. And if you want to run, larger models like 70 to 100 plus billion parameter models, an RTX Pro 6000 Blackwell server potentially is a good choice because that can serve your need. But then if you want to run some fine tuning, let's say like a 70B model, and you want to fine tune that, and you should get to the Hopper and Blackwell generation. And then if you actually, maybe, you're training the Arabic language model and doing, training from scratch, foundational models and frontier models, you need to go with the latest and greatest for the best efficiency. GB300, Vera Rubin is coming out soon. So it all depends on, what you want to do. So even if you have a boatload of money, you still may not be able to deploy your advanced AI infrastructure immediately at scale. Because as Naveed said, the advanced computing chips, the GPUs, and even some of the CPUs and networking chips, they're not built here. And most of them are built in the US and Taiwan and etc. And they need to be imported. So the countries who are exporting this, primarily US, they have a lot of regulations in terms of advanced computing export control. And that's, the job of the USBIS, the US Bureau of Industry and Security. So USBIS looks at the country. So most of the GCC countries belong to country group B, and with some specific designation in the D category. So what that means is, in general, if you want to buy the advanced GPUs, you have to get a license. Your vendor or your partner have to secure you a license from the USBIS. And with the USBIS backlog now, it takes at least 6 months to get such a license. So even if you have money and your data center and etc., you may not be able to get the chip. But the good news is there are some exceptions. So the magic number is 26.9 million TPP, which is the total processing performance. So if you stay under that, there is an LPP exception, low processing performance exception, that doesn't require a license. So this exception applies per consignee, per end user, per year. And that roughly translates to about 6 racks of GB300. So now we go to the fourth step. So prepare your data centers for AI scale, because the new AI data centers are not the old cloud data center or enterprise data centers anymore. So when you look at rack scale power, it used to be 5 to 10 kilowatt for a very, very long time. And now AI data centers, if you look at the GB300 racks, they go above 130 kilowatt, which is more than 10 times increase. And then Jensen said the power per rack will very quickly go to 600 kilowatts, even a megawatt is within the next few years or a year or two. So, and then if you remember when Sora was released, Sam Altman was tweeting, hey, GPUs are on fire. And literally GPUs are on fire, and they definitely need liquid cooling to cool them down. So liquid cooling is going to be the norm, because that's required by GB300 and subsequent generations. And another thing is the weight of the rack. Also for data center construction, because or retrofitting your data center, because it used to be racks stay at about 1,500 to 2,000 pounds for many years, and now it's going to be above 3,000 pounds or 4,000 pounds. It's becoming a lot heavier because the cluster, the compute, and everything is becoming denser. So what does this mean? It's such high power for every rack, and there are 2 parameters that you can adjust, which is voltage and the current. So you don't want to transmit thousands of very, very high circuits between your racks. So the voltage of the rack has to go up. So we're seeing 48 volt per rack to 800 volt high voltage DC architecture. And then I was talking to Gaurav and Mohammed last night, and water. Where does the water come from for the data centers here? Because Riyadh and Saudi is not famous for having plenty of water. So to support liquid cooling, water reuse and closed loop cooling is critical. And also power. Power is a significant advantage of this region, but still, if you want to move fast, you need to secure your power permit. If you already have your power permit, you have a strategic asset you should act on as soon as possible. AI is really changing the data center dynamics. So as Naveed said, the supply chain is extremely volatile. And even if you can have the GPU and your server vendor can ship you the server, they may not have the memory. They may not have the NAND. And just from last December to this January, the memory price went up 70%, and the NAND flash price went up, Samsung, 100%. And they're in short supply. So basically, you really need to think about localization, how to produce some of these critical components here in the kingdom and in the region. And you also need a trusted partner to help you manage that supply chain. So EPIC strives to be your trusted localization partner. As I said, last October when I came here the first time, we launched 3 lines of product by EPIC Semi, which is a Saudi company. So we have the Control Compute, which is a RISC-V based CPU plus AI superchip. We have the Control Flash, which is a PCIe Gen 5 data center and enterprise SSD. Actually, I'm holding one of them here. And also Contrail Cool, which is a full line of liquid cooling product that we are trying to localize, setting up a factory to produce right here in the kingdom. But in our customer engagement, we realize our customer ask, hey, if you gave us an SSD, we don't know what to do. Do we have to integrate that with our servers? That's a lot of work, and we want to move fast. And why don't you give us, a complete solution, a whole rack, so we can just run our applications. So we heard those. And that's why, I'm very excited to announce that we are introducing Epic Contrail AI Pod in collaboration with our partner Supermicro. So we've been working with Supermicro to create a complete rack level design so that you can rest assured that you can buy this and this will increasingly have more local content. So basically, as I said, your rack configuration will depend on your workload. And so there can be many configurations, and we'll help you with that. But to start, we have a couple flavors. So one is a GB300 base rack with our SSDs, the local content inside. And one is RTX 6000 Pro 6000 based rack, more built for inference. So we hope to work with you and create more flavors of these. So Epic Semi, we really are built here, and we want to be your trusted localization partner. And between us and our ecosystem, we'll be able to provide you basically in-depth semiconductor and AI infrastructure expertise. And our goal is to work with the AI builders here to further the localization journey. Thank you very much.